Hey guys, welcome back. Unexpected video today. I didn't realize they were going to drop this information today, so I was like, well, I'll do a quick video about it. I was going to film a skit about one of the champions, but yeah, I'm not very good at that. I'm actually posting this too to be like, hey, if anybody uh wants a freelance job as an editor, please send me a message or leave a comment here and I can get in touch with you, or you can add me on Discord and I can get in touch. I like to work out to see if I can get like a professional editor, um, and kind of work out a payment for videos getting edited professionally and, doing the comedy and stuff like that for the edits. That'd be great. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into what is going on. So they announced that they are going to be rebalancing some champions, and the two champions that they're going to be bringing out for rebalance, I believe this is going to be, I think it's next week, right? They said that they're going to do this. Let me look at Discord here real quick. I'm going to Discord. We'll go up to announcements. Raid announcements. I just heard one of my dogs fart. Jesus Christ. Let's see. I think the update's going to be coming next week. Yeah. I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's next week that these changes are gonna be in effect. I want to say it's probably gonna be on Thursday. But the champions that are getting rebalanced are gonna be two of them, and they desperately need it. And I have both of them. One of them that I have, it's a very shameful thing apparently to have this champion. People don't like it if you have this champion, and it is kind of a bummer. But it is what it is, you know. The game is the game. But the first champion is going to be Saoirse. And so, real quick, Saoirse's whole problem with her kit, honestly, she would have been just decent if they would have changed this for A3. Or was it this one? Whichever one's, yeah, HP burn, this forest fire. If they would have changed this to a 3-turn cooldown off the bat, I think she would have seen more play. But essentially, what the champion does in this form is she places HP burn, and then she has a chance of increasing its duration when she A1s them. And then she has a 50% chance to decrease the duration of a random buff on the target. And then activating HP burn when she's hit. Alright, under an HP burn, this heals the champion by that much. And then instantly activates HP burn. Okay. And then this one right here, attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. And then decreases the turn meter of enemies under HP burn, debuffs by an extra 15%. This is all getting changed. Her stats, as far as we know, that's staying the same. They're fine with her stats, okay? And she has very decent stats. And she is a support. And again, I'm actually going to say this champion is not good in Curse City. Like, at all. She's not good in Curse City whatsoever. And one of the few champions, believe it or not, that is not good in Curse City. But anyways, I'm going to read off. I'm going to put it right above my head here, the changes, so you can even pause the video and just read the changes for yourself. Or if you want to listen to my sultry voice, I'm going to read them off right now. Okay? Alright, so it says, Saoirse the Charred. With this rebalance, we aim to refine Saoirse's kit and make her a top-tier champion against Hydra. Her A1 now has a 100% chance to decrease the duration of a random buff on the target, under targets on HP burn debuff, right? So they're taking this 30, 45% chance, and this is now going to be a 100% chance if they're under HP burn, okay? Her A2 will no longer trigger an attack, ensuring the reliable HP burn debuff while bypassing the poison cloud. The cooldown was decreased as well, meaning even more HP burn debuffs. This was her biggest flaw. Like I just said in the beginning of this, her HP burn being on a 4-turn cooldown was atrocious. That puts her up there with Ignatius. I think it actually puts her up there with Walking Tomb Drang as well. He's an HP guy. Let's look at Drang. I'm pretty sure. No, this is a 3-turn after you put the books in. So Walking Tomb was better, but if we look at Ignatius, this holds Ignatius back for power creep. This is actually a 5-turn with books. Atrocious, okay? Saoirse is sitting at a 4 with all books. It just doesn't work out. And then now her A now and then they changed it so you don't need to land the hit to land HP burn. She just places it now, which again, I kind of feel like power creep is really taking effect here, and I really feel like there's a disjoint between champions that are nukers, right? They're attack-based champions, and I feel like the theme for attack-based champions is they need to be able to hit, right? The hit keyword to land the debuffs if they have to land debuffs, correct? But if it's a support champion, supports really shouldn't have to land a hit. They're not really attacking, right? They're supporting. They cast magical spells and stuff like that. Now, obviously, it would be different if they're like a defense or an HP based champion. But if you are labeled a support, you are supporting, right? I don't know. It's semantics. It's fucking mnemonics in my head, right? And then now her A3, they replaced the turn meter reduction with decreased speed and hex debuffs to boost overall team damage. So now this is going to not do turn meter. Yes, so this will never do turn meter decreasing. This is now going to be a 100% chance with books to place decreased speed and hex if they are under HP burn. Very cool. So we'll just kind of get into it here. And her passive is roughly going to stay the same, but it also heals all allies for 10% of the damage she receives. Pretty great. I mean, she's still garbage, but she's honestly worlds better. This champion is now, you can consider this champion to be like B tier, severe B tier, still maybe C tier legendary. And the fact that you have to spend minimum, okay, $15,000 to get this champion is, you know, in one go, you have to spend 15 grand to get her in one go, okay? And you still get this hunk of shit. And apparently the lore, she is Elva Autumnborn's sister. I learned that from Boozer's video earlier. But let's just kind of look at this, okay? So it says Conflagrate, her A1, attacks the enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of increasing the duration of any HP burn debuffs on the target by 1 turn, okay? And this still looks like it's going to go up to 45% to increase that. Each hit also has a 50% chance of decreasing the duration of random buff on the target by a turn, but if they're under HP debuff or HP burn debuffs, this will now be a 100% chance. Okay, so they're changing this part right here, and then they're adding a text here that just says if they're under HP burn debuffs, this is now 100% chance to decrease a random buff on the target. I'm going to assume, yes, it says each hit, so per hit. So there's 3 times that that's going to happen. Honestly, I don't know where that would ever happen other than Hydra. Okay, but if you're doing Hydra right, shouldn't need that. Just my opinion. Okay, her A2, Forest Fire. It has scratched out, attacks all enemies, and then it has base 80% chance placing HP burn. They're just going to automatically change this to a 3 turn. And then each book that goes into it, which is 4 books, will be a 5% chance increase, booking to 100 for HP burn. Pretty decent. Okay. And then here, Blazing Panic. It still says attacks all enemies, but then will change to has a 74% chance of placing a decreased speed, the big version, and if the target is under HP burn, they will also be getting a hex debuff for 2 turns. And the cooldown is now going to be base 5-turn cooldown. And then they are changing, so the books are now, instead of going to be 2 cooldown reduction for the books, the first one's going to be increasing the percentage of 25%, so it's going to be a 100% chance of placing these debuffs, and then 1 book for cooldown. So it's going to be down to a 4-turn. And then, yeah, so then her passive Stoked, it will still do all of this, but also will heal allies by 10% of the damage she receives as well. It's pretty decent. Pretty decent. Hopefully she starts to see play in Curse City, because as we all know on this channel, that is the most important place in the game. It's not even Hydra that is the most important place in the game. It is Curse City. Now the other champion is also a Force Legendary, but he's an attack champion. This champion was so bad. He looked so cool. His abilities said such damaging things that it was just crazy that he literally hit like a wet noodle in the best arena gear when content creators got their hands on him. It's going to be King Garag. He was just buffed recently. I mean, maybe 6 months ago, I think, maybe a year ago, which is still pretty recent. Honestly, the game's been going on for 5 years now. But it wasn't enough. He was still just hitting like a bitch. And I think Raid are too gun shy on giving champions like this guy such big buffs, because the story of, look at here, Candrafon, he got really powerful, but he wasn't overpowered after his buff. Dracomorph, Mashald, those are the ones that just come to mind right away. I actually can't think of any other champion that got a buff that was just like, oh my god, amazing. And I think they did that, made those champions amazing. We're like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have done that, you know? But let's just kind of get into it. King Garag. With the following changes, King Garag's damage output has been increased across all his active skills, reinforcing his role as a damage dealer in the current meta. His A1 now has a high chance to stun, increasing it up to 75% chance if the enemy's turn meter is over 50%. A2 hits will now ignore 20% of the target's defense, and then the A3 ignore defense now scales with King Garag's own buffs to make his damage output more reliable, and the cooldown of the skill was decreased as well. His passive was improved as well, allowing King Garag to retain speed and crit damage stack buffs that he gets after he's been revived. So essentially what would happen is when he died, he would just lose all the stacks he got, you know. Is a bummer, okay? And then I hate building accuracy on champions that don't need accuracy, okay? So let's look at what they did. His A1 is called Gigantic Cleavers. Attacks an enemy 2 times. It now has a 50% chance of placing stun for a turn. The chance increases to 75 if the target's turn meter is over. I'm sorry, if the target's turn meter is equal to or higher than 50% damage. And then, or higher than 50%, and then it just says damage increase. Okay? There you go. And books still just increase damage. And then we'll look at his A2. It's called Hack to Bits. Attacks an enemy 4 times, and it will now, after the buff, each hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense, and then each critical hit has a 50% chance to decrease the cooldown of Goremaker skill by a turn, which is going to be, boom, is A3. And then it just says damaged increase. And then we're going to look at Goremaker as A3. This is still attacks all enemies. Now it will ignore 20% of the target of each target's defense, and then it will ignore a further 5% of the defense for each buff on this champion. And the damage is increased, and the cooldown has been reduced to 5 base. So when this is booked, it's going to be a 4-turn cooldown on Goremaker. And then, like we said, for his passive, he will keep the stacks of the stats he has gained from killing after he's died and been revived, which is great. I have to say, I think he's going to be the only one out of these two that's actually going to see some play now, I think. Especially if you take Soul Reap and you change the blessing over to Heaven Crest, which gives you more damage per buffs that you have. And as you can see with King Garag, I got lucky and got a 5-star at some point with him, and I just stuck it on him and I threw him in the vault, and I haven't done anything with him since. Now, because I have been looking for a champion to book for Legendary, because I have some books sitting around, he'll probably be the one. But I kind of want to point something out. He takes 14 books. By the way, 5, 10, 4 is 14. That's just fucking crazy. Like in the video earlier, I was talking about Brackus the Shifter. I just don't understand, you know, what the deal is on these champions. Especially these force damage dealing champions. I don't know. But yeah, he is. I'm hoping he's getting the love he deserves. Throw this guy in, I think, in a lethal set. Give him a little bit of perception. You don't need much. If they would have made the stun irresistible, and it was at 75% chance that it might happen, that, I mean, that might have been pretty amazing. Because as far as I know, that is the only one that needs accuracy, right? Increases champion speed by 6. Killed in a round, stacks up 30, 35. Resets champion's killed, but that won't happen anymore. His champion's revived, fills his turn meter by whatever percent. Yeah, that's the only ability that needs accuracy. So there's no point in building accuracy on him at all. I'm actually going to do this. I'm taking him out, putting him in the collection. And I'm probably going to put masteries on him. And we'll probably do a video on him and see how well he does. Yeah, I think that's what's going to be it. But this all should be happening. I'm going to assume it's next Thursday is usually when they do patches. So it's going to be it for the video, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.